everybody. Today I'm going to be debunking some common myths about transgender people. So, on to myth number 1. I've heard this one many times. From my family, from some so-called friends, from people that I know and people that I've never even met. They think they're being well-wishing by asking, so what if you're wrong? What if it's just a phase? And you know what? I've had phases in the past. There was a time when I wanted to learn karate and I went to the YMCA for like a few weeks. I got up to yellow belt and then I lost interest. But you know what? I knew at the age of 5 that I was a girl. And I had almost 20 years to figure out if transition was right for me. And there was not a doubt in my mind. While the world was telling me that I was supposed to be a boy, I could not imagine myself such. I could not picture a future for myself. I always thought of myself and identified as a girl. And I've never known a phase that lasted 20 years. Oh sure, some people point out some very vocal people who have detransitioned, but most of those people who have detransitioned have done so because of internalized transphobia, pressures from people in their lives, or just general dissatisfaction for the outcome. And you know what? Most of those people end up retransitioning a few years later. You ask pretty much any transgender person if this is just a phase, and you'll have a resounding no. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. If I have to say anything, this was the most right thing I've ever done in my life. Something I've never regretted. So, is transition a phase? Is being transgender a phase? Is my identity a phase? No, no, and no. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Female to male transsexuals do exist, and they are just as common as male to females. I know. Gasp. So you might be wondering, why have I not really heard anything about female to male transsexuals? And there are a few reasons. Female to male transsexuals, F to Ms, who have been on hormones, testosterone, go through a dramatic change. They gain muscle mass, body and facial hair. Ew, why would anybody want that? And their voice drops within about a month. It is much startling than some of the effects that male to females might undergo through estrogen. And F to Ms who are pre-hormones often get confused as very butch women. And in our society, it's okay for a girl to wear jeans and dress like a guy, more so than somebody who looks like a guy to dress like a girl. So F to Ms who are pre-hormones might just not even have anybody bat an eye towards them, while male to females who are pre-hormones might stick out a lot and get a lot of attention. And lastly, it's because female to male transsexuals are not deemed sexy enough for television. Oh, some of them are really sexy. I know quite a few that are quite hot. But for mass media's sake, they're not considered sensationalized enough to ratings grabber. And this once again goes to because we are a misogynistic society. We can understand why a girl would want to get a male appendage, but not why a guy would want to get rid of that stick. And so all the media attention goes towards male to female transsexuals because we're considered shocking. Oh my gosh. While female to male transsexuals get very little coverage. I know what you must be thinking, but they both have the word trans. Transvestites and transsexuals are two completely different things. Transvestites are people who identify as guys and like to dress up as a girl for personal reasons. A transsexual is somebody whose gender identity conflicts with their physical sex, so much so that they want to pursue medical means to transition so that their body will match their mind. Just because we both have the word trans doesn't mean that it's the same thing. My needs and wants are completely different. I always identified as a girl. I don't understand guys. I have no clue why they do what they do, and I don't want to be identified as a guy. Transvestites have no problem. They want to be identified as a guy. Maybe if they're dressing in femme, they want to be known as a female, but for the better part of their life, they identify as being a guy. And I remember once going to a support group and meeting a transvestite, and we had like nothing in common. They didn't understand why I was doing what I was doing, and I didn't understand why they were doing what they were doing. So don't get them confused. This one really bothers me, because I've even heard it from gay and lesbian people. I think it's time for a little 101 lesson here. Gender identity does not equal sexual orientation. Everybody has a gender identity. Everybody has a sexual orientation. But they're not the same thing. I happen to be bi or pansexual. I'm interested in people of all kinds of genders. I mainly care about what's in here than what's down there. And I know many male to female transsexuals who date only women. I know many female to male transsexuals who date only men. I did not, at age 5, be like, hey, I'm going to trick a bunch of guys by facing ostracization from my family and friends and going to go see all these doctors and getting all these hormones, paying tons of money, and then later on getting a surgery just so I can trick a guy into bed and get a free toaster. Male to female transsexuals are not gay men in disguise. And it really upsets me when people get these simple ideas confused. Once again, gender identity is not the same as sexual orientation.